So why is dating in Ukraine easier than in Western parts of the world? Why is it in Ukraine that men can get women that would be seemingly out of their league in their own country? Why is it that women in Ukraine connect far easier with a Western man than a Western man does with a Western woman? And why is it that Ukrainian women are so quick to try and lock down a man? In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly why that is. Gentlemen, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Striker, and my channel is about my journey to try and get out of the Western dating scene and go to a place in the world, or to try and find a place in the world where I would be valued as a man of what I can bring to a relationship, and where I could maybe try and find a traditional woman and form a traditional relationship. Along my journey in and out of dating agencies and dating many women and having multiple relationships, I met Luba. Luba has been in the dating industry for about 10 years. She has worked for all of these big agencies that you've probably seen on YouTube. And she joined me on my channel to try and help you guys try and learn the truth and try and be successful when it comes to dating outside of the West and inside Ukraine. So if that's something that you want to do, please subscribe to the channel, because you're going to learn a lot of information here that you're not going to learn anywhere else. So in today's video, I'm going to say some things, and if you're a Western woman, you're going to get a little bit pissed off. And if you're a man who's basically a bitch, you also might get a little bit pissed off. But it is what it is, so let's get on with the video. So I'm going to try and explain the questions that I put forward at the start of this video in a way that will hopefully be, you'll be able to understand it a little bit more as the video progresses. So let's talk about diamonds. So diamonds are a finite resource, or so they lead us to believe. There's only a certain amount of them that they have, or that they're getting out of the ground. And this is what gives the diamond its value. And the fact that there is not many of them creates a demand for those diamonds at a high price. If they were somehow able to manufacture diamonds or introduce a whole lot into the supply, the price or the value of those diamonds would come down, and the demand for them would be less. Therefore, the diamonds would have less value. The opposite would happen if half of the diamonds, for instance, were taken out of the supply. Let's just imagine that somebody managed to get all the diamonds and put them into like a rocket and fire the rocket into space, and those diamonds were gone forever. The market cap, of course they would want the market cap to have the same value. So instead of them saying, well, you know, the diamonds are still going to be worth the same, but there's just less of them, this is not going to happen. The diamonds that are still available, that people can still buy, are going to be worth more. Those diamonds become more valuable. This is supply and demand, and it's easy to understand when you talk about things like gold, or you talk about things like diamonds. The less of it there is, the more scarcity there is, the higher the value. Okay, so who cares about diamonds? All right, let's talk about women. So in the West, it's about 50-50, right? In the West, males to females. We can't increase the supply of females. It is what it is. Therefore, we can say, well, that's, if you were to take the value of, if every female had a value, we can now work out what the market cap was, if there was some way of working out some sort of numeric figure that we could put on people, which we can't, but we know that there's a market cap there, and that is what it's going to be. Okay, so that's the West. It's set. There's nothing we can do about that. Okay, let's have a look at Ukraine. So the male to female ratio is not, it's not a huge disparity like they would have you to believe. If you look at some of these agencies, and what they talk about is that there's way more females than males. Look, this was very true about 10, 15 years ago. And this is when a lot of these agencies came to be, and they started marketing this as, basically it was a marketing tool to say that there is way more females than males, so your odds are going to be better. Now, if you are trying to date over the age of 45, 50-year-old woman, yeah, okay, because 15, 20 years ago, those women that was 20, 30-year-olds then, they're now in their 40s and 50s. If you look at it, if you look at the data now, the disparity between the male and the female genders in Ukraine, there is slightly more females, you know, and I think if you wait 10 years, that's going to be the same as what it is in the West. So don't, like, it's a video for a whole other day, but don't listen to this marketing where there's like so many women and there's like 3 women to 1 man. That's not true. So forget about that, and let's get back to the video. Okay, so let's go back over to the West, and I'm going to be frank. About 40% of the women in the West are considered to be obese or very obese. Around 70% of the women in the West, I'm talking about United States, UK, etc., around 70% are considered to be overweight. Now, I'm not sure if you guys know this or not, but men do not find overweight women attractive. We certainly don't find obese women or very obese women attractive. And no matter what they put out socially, on social media, on the TV, trying to convince people, women, and then of course men as well, that it's okay to be overweight and that people should accept you for who you are. For me, it absolutely makes no sense at all. It's like saying to someone who smokes a packet of cigarettes a day, saying, well, you should just accept this person for smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. People become overweight because they eat too much food. I'm not going to say in the story because there is the odd exception to the rule where people, do have some problems maybe with thyroid or some other medical condition, but I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about people that just continually eat, and then social society says, hey, that's okay. If people don't love you for who you are, then it's their problem. And let's face it, the last 30 or 40 years of social conditioning is not going to take away from 300,000 years of man-to-woman relationships when it comes to reproducing and basically keeping the human race alive. There's no way that this advertising is ever going to make a man go, you know what? I am attracted to women that are 40 kilos overweight. It's not going to happen. And if you think that it's wrong, if anybody's watching this thinking it's wrong, which I don't think there's going to be too many of you who think that, it's the same for the men. The women are going to be looking at the men and they're going to be assessing him. If he's broke, if he's lazy, if he can't provide for a family, he's not going to be seen as an option. The same way that a male looks at a woman as someone to impregnate, hold a child, give birth to a child, and have a healthy child that grows up, and of course the human race can survive for another generation. The woman is looking at the man to make sure that he is going to be there to provide and to protect for her while she is pregnant. If she sees that he can't do that, he's not going to be seen as an option. The same way that if we see that she can't carry a child well, we're not going to look at her as an option either. We just don't find it attractive. No man wants actually, I did see a documentary once on 60 Minutes about men that liked obese women, and they feed them to get them fatter. Apart from them, no men in the history of the world want fat, obese, extremely obese women. And remember this, the man's value comes from success and it comes from masculinity. The woman's value comes from femininity and beauty. Okay, so let's imagine that these overweight, obese women that for some reason forgot that they need to attract a man based on femininity and their beauty. They forgot about this and they overate, and they were told that it was fine to do that. Okay, so let's pretend that these women are diamonds, and someone put these diamonds on a rocket ship and they shot them into space, never to be seen again. This leaves the women that are left behind, just like the diamonds when half the supply disappeared, this leaves the women that are left behind with higher value. The market cap is the same. There's still the same amount of males that have to find a woman in order to procreate with and to continue his lifeline with and continue a family, and the human race will survive. That market cap is still there, but because there's only half of the supply left, therefore that supply is now worth more. So the value for that supply is now higher. So when it comes to the sexual marketplace and it comes to dating, these non-fat diamonds, or these non-overweight diamonds I should say, they know their value, okay? They know their value. They're not stupid, they understand their value. They can see around them. They can see what's going on, and they can look at themselves in the mirror and they can go, you know, I take care of myself. I eat well, I do yoga. I know what it takes to be feminine and to attract the highest value male. They understand that. And to be honest, I don't find anything wrong with that at all. In fact, I implore them. I think that it is good that they set a standard for themselves and they do what they need to do to achieve a high value male. It makes complete sense. It shouldn't be any other way. The only reason that people think otherwise is because of social conditioning. Social conditioning, fighting with biological evolution. The entire thing makes no sense whatsoever, and nobody seems to realize it. It's these low quality diamonds. They took themselves out of the marketplace. By taking themselves out of the marketplace, they've given the value that they once held to the women that are still in the marketplace, to the good diamonds. As men, there's not much we can do about it. You know, like you'll get the feminists and the social conditioning and all that stuff to say, well, no, you should just accept women for, who they are, blah, blah, blah. Hang on a second here. Like the issue has not been created by us. We're left trying to figure out a way to make it work. So the diamonds that are left, they pretty much can choose whatever the hell they want to choose, right? So they get basically choice of the top tier males. Now remember, we said before, like women don't choose men on basically how handsome they are. They choose them on a different set of criteria, different from the criteria that we choose females on. So she's looking for a man that can provide the best. So I was going to say if you can't provide well, but I won't say that. I'll say if you're not in the top 10 to 20% when it comes to being basically to make money. Okay, so basically to make money and to be able to provide. And as time goes on, as generations pass, it's going to come to the point where men are making more money, more women are letting themselves go, as it has been doing. So the availability for the woman that you would consider to be a high quality woman that takes care of herself, that understands that she needs to be feminine, that market is going to be shrinking, right? And it's going to be harder for a man to get into that top 10%. So when you boil that all down, what does it come down to? It doesn't come down to the man doing anything wrong. I mean, it's in our biology, right? It's evolution for us, for most men, the majority of men as a whole. The consensus is that work hard and provide a good life for your family. That hasn't changed. I don't believe that there are men out there going, well, I can't be bothered doing anything these days, I'm going to be lazy. Without getting too much into, a particular generation that people sometimes have issues with. But if the men were saying, right, to hell with it, I'm not going to be working anymore, in fact, I'm not even going to go to university, I'm not going to start businesses, I don't want to do any of that stuff anymore, then his marketplace would be diminishing. Okay, well, let's talk about Ukraine. Why is Ukraine different? Okay, so let's talk about Ukraine, because this is what this video is about. It's why it's better, easier, and so many other more benefits in Ukraine than it is from the West when we're talking about the women and dating and the sexual marketplace. So over in Ukraine, it is very, very difficult to find a woman under the age of 50 to be fat. And if you've never been over here, you know exactly what I'm saying. But if you've never been over here, it's a little bit hard to comprehend. It's like, how can that be? How can there not be like an overweight person there and there and there and there, and there's someone that's not overweight like it is in the West? Seeing someone over here that's overweight, it's like hen's teeth. It's rare. It's such a rare sight to see. And when I do see a woman that is overweight, like I do kind of feel like, like she's really, I was talking to actually Luba about this. Funny enough, we were going through McDonald's drive-thru and there was a very overweight girl there in her 20s eating like a hamburger or something. And I said, like, why, like how hard would it be for her, surrounded by all these beautiful women, to lock down a man? And even Luba said, like, she really doesn't have a shit show here. So Ukraine women are very self-conscious, and I say self-conscious, they take pride in their appearance. And you've probably heard it before, and if you've seen stuff online or on videos and stuff like that, they always look so well groomed. And they take pride in how they present themselves. And let's face it, they're not presenting themselves well for other women, they're presenting themselves well for men. The women here, they take so much pride, they go to the gym, but even women that don't go to the gym are thin. And it's kind of strange, but I guess it's like, if you don't overeat, you're probably not going to get overweight. And I think that's the way that they manage it, which is kind of makes a lot of sense, right? But here's the thing, all right? They don't see being thin as something special. It doesn't increase their value. They don't look around and think, wow, I'm the only thin woman here, that means I'm the best, because they're all thin. Being thin is nothing. It's just how you should be. It's healthy. It's normal. It's just the way it is. So therefore, the supply of the diamonds are everywhere. There are so many of them. There's no scarcity of diamonds. Nobody took a rocket and blew half the diamonds into space so nobody could ever have them. And so the men were constantly looking for diamonds that they could never ever get their hands on. The diamonds are everywhere. Again, this is what supply and demand is. The men in Ukraine have so many options, but for the sole reason that there is so much supply. So the scarcity is not the woman, or good woman I should say. The scarcity is the good men. Trying to find a man, because of course, as we said before, men and women are looking for different things. So she's looking for a man that can provide what she's looking for, which is security. In this day and age, it's money, of course. And that he can take care of her, he can protect her, he can take care of the family, that he won't go and sleep with a whole bunch of other women, which, as you can imagine, because there is so much supply, he can if he wants to. And it is actually a little bit of a problem here. So she's trying to find a man that she can lock down, a man that she can see has the traits of being a good husband. And the truth is that that's a scarcity here. So for the woman here, because it's normal to be beautiful, to be thin, to have that feminine side that's always present, it's never put into the back seat and forgotten about, it's always there. Because that's always there, and it's all of the women have it, they have to think of other things that's going to increase their value, because they can't just be complacent with everybody else. They have to increase their value somehow. So that quite often comes through education. That's why if you come over to Ukraine, like so many women that are just so down to earth and kind, and I'm going to use the word simple, but I don't mean simple like they're not intelligent, but just very nice, kind women. And you'll talk to them and you realize that, hang on a second, she's a lawyer, or she's a doctor, or something like that. Whereas back in your own country, like a beautiful woman who's a doctor, the value on that is... So they increase their value by education, but also open-mindedness, by looking and having to see what is around them. Look at their options and understand that, times are tough. So they have to have an open-mindedness about them, especially when it comes to men. So because of the vast supply of women, the demand is less. It's that simple. If you understand this concept of supply and demand, it's really very simple. It's very simple to boil it down. And when you look at the questions that I asked at the start of this video, does it make a little bit more sense now? Ukrainian women have the same biological needs that evolution has passed down to them, that the woman in the West do, that the woman in India and Russia and UK and Australia and New Zealand. It's exactly the same. The only difference is the environment that they're in. They understand that they need to pair bond. They understand they need to find a male at a certain particular time in their life and have him be the protector, the provider. She knows that if she finds someone that is a good candidate, she needs to lock him down fast, because look around, there are so many other women that could easily lock him down as well. Hopefully that makes sense. There's actually not a lot to it. It's actually very simple. It's basically the supply and demand when it comes to the sexual marketplace and the difference between Ukraine and the West. Now, if you are in the West and you're just tired of it, man, I just got so tired of it. And it wasn't necessarily the supply-demand issue over there that, to be honest, I didn't even understand it when I was over there. It was more the system that was over there that was set up for men to lose, such as the court systems and some of the laws that are over there, that made me just think that it's just not right. Like, what's the point? And you think that, you want something better. You are interested in having a long-term relationship, maybe leading into marriage where you can have kids and possibly have the kids grow up in a family house with you and your wife, then look somewhere else. I mean, the West is just one small area. There's so many other great places you can go to in the world that have traditional values, and they haven't been tainted with the system that they have in the West. So if you like the channel, please subscribe. My name is Striker, and I'll see you next time.